What is good, y'all? Mikey T, the movie star, back with another exclusive. And today we're going to be talking about G Unit, y'all. That's right. We're going to be talking about Tony Yayo, Young Buck, and what happened after Young Buck started dissing 50 Cent out of nowhere. Basically, in this video today, Tony Yayo was explaining why and how Young Buck went from a seemingly multi-million dollar rapper to broke, not able to afford bail, incarcerated on the most random charges. Young Buck went from being an artist that was of the stature of a young Jeezy, Lil Wayne, T.I. He was on the path to that level of success. And now he's a level of success where he's drawn 95 live stream viewers, y'all. My name is Mikey T, the movie star. I got all the information for you. I lived through it. So now we're on here talking about it. Hit that like button, drop a comment. Let me know what city and state you're tapped in from. And let's get on with the story today. So Tony Yayo had done this interview where he was talking about Young Buck's tour habits. He said Buck was the type of guy to go on tour, come back home, and he done spent $250,000. Now, this is a problem. Going on tour is where you're supposed to get money. You're supposed to get money on tour. You're not supposed to use that experience on tour to buy everything in sight just because you now got bread. Tony Yayo went on to say he done bought some cars. He had the living room all white. You know what I mean? Yayo said, I got the regular bed, and he has the bed with the TV coming out. Now, the lifestyle of Young Buck and Tony Yayo was a little bit different. We all know when Yayo was locked up, Beg for Mercy came out, joint sold like 6 million copies. Before that, Get Rich or Die Trying, Yayo had a feature. 50 Cent actually came and grabbed one of Young Buck's songs, the Bloodhound record. When he met him, he liked the song. He went to go work with Young Jeezy, but found something better. 50 Cent almost found the next biggest artist from the South. Young Buck was on BET, Rap City, not 106 in Park, Rap City back in the day, 5 o'clock. He was calling out Lil Wayne. He was calling out the Carter, who was going to become the greatest rapper. That's why I say Young Buck was becoming of the caliber of a T.I., a Ludacris, Young Jeezy. He had all of these people featured on his album. He had Snoop Dogg on his albums. Young Buck was on his way to mega success. Tony Yayo might not understand that because after he got out of prison, he had a cool million waiting for him. Young Buck had already been a part of an album that sold 2 albums that sold 20 million copies. Yayo, Buck, you and Buck are not the same. I just wanted to bring this up. Yayo is probably my favorite G Unit rapper. But when Young Buck joined the collective, he just made G Unit that much more interesting. After Beg for Mercy dropped, there was a lot of people saying that Young Buck was the best in G Unit. Let's keep it a buck. Let's keep it real, man. Young Buck added that Southern flavor to G Unit that made it a real mainstream commodity. Let's be real about this. Yayo was locked up when Buck was doing a lot of his touring. Come on. What's Yayo talking about? When Yayo got out of jail and was able to tour, it was probably 2005. He was on house arrest. They used the whole thing. He sold 800,000 on house arrest for thoughts of a predicate felon. Okay. If you're on house arrest, that means you're not going to be able to experience the same amount of touring as the other members of G Unit. So I'm not saying I'm calling cap on what he said, but I think he might be speaking about a time when he was in jail, when G Unit was really thriving and touring during the Beg for Mercy and Get Rich or Die Trying days. Yayo had to go sit up for a year, and then he had to sit up for another 9 months? So he missed a lot of the heyday. Sure, you had a cool million waiting for you, but these guys sold 6 million albums on their own project, and then 50 did another 13 million on Get Rich or Die Trying. That's 20 million records, yay. Let's just be real. So Yayo's talking about Buck is out there doing all this elaborate spending on some Scott Storch type of vibe. He's like, he done bought some cars. The living room is all white. I got the regular bed. He has the bed with the TV coming out of it because Young Buck was being positioned as the next biggest rapper from the South. This man was about to be the next biggest rapper from the South. Yay, that's why he was doing the things that all the biggest rappers were doing. He said, Yayo continued on, he bought the new chain. I guess he might be talking about that 615 chain. I'm sure Yayo had a chain when he got out of jail as well. I can't really remember the Yayo chain. Y'all drop the comments because we know Lloyd Banks had the Statue of Liberty piece at one time. I really remember Yayo with the G chain. It was like a silver G chain, no longer the spinner. They had let Buck hold on to the spinner at the beginning, if y'all remember. We're not talking about that whole incident with DT at Cabrini Green today, but Young Buck had been the one holding on to the G Unit spinner chain because 50 picked Young Buck right up out the streets. You know what I mean? Young Buck got on BET Rap City rapping about kicking the door, waving the 4-4. You know what I'm saying? Young Buck really was at the bottom. Started from the bottom. That moniker fits Young Buck. He was lucky enough to finally find 50 Cent after going through all these horrible deals with the likes of Birdman, getting brought back to Cash Money to do the head buster thing, running around with UTP and Juvenile, getting left out in California over the Suge Knight thing. I don't really know what went on there. Maybe Buck was trying to floss for Suge Knight a little bit too much, and Juvenile was like, yo, I'm out. I'm out. So Yayo said he bought the new chain. He's chilling with BMF. Oh, yeah. Buck had the spinner. Remember the 615 spinner chain, actually? That was funny. Yeah. He loved to do it like 50. He loved to do it big. He said he was chilling with BMF. Come on. I'm at home chilling, and Buck is chilling with BMF. Yeah, you were at home chilling because you were on house arrest. You weren't able to be out there and get in the scene for the last 18 months. The last 20 months that Young Buck has now been welcome to the G Unit brand and actually increased the interest in the G Unit brand. You know, there's some people that could say maybe G Unit would not have taken off if it was a strictly New York group. I know I'm not the first one ever putting it out there. You know what I'm saying? Yayo probably had my favorite verses on the G Unit mixtapes. You know what I'm saying? All those verses Yayo did were hard. I really liked Yayo's verses. But when he came to the Thoughts of Predicate Felon album, it was a whole different thing. You know, seeing an artist go from being on one verse to now participating in the full song, whether it's two verses and a hook, whatever it's going to be. So he wants to make a mention of Buck chilling with BMF. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt there. You know, if you're chilling with BMF, you're expected to spend a certain type of bread. You're expected to throw money. These guys from BMF are throwing hundreds, from my understanding. Young Buck might look a little weak in there, only spending a couple $1,000s. So that might make him pull out extra money. We know a lot of these guys that make it in the industry. They buy as much as they can. You know what I mean? They spend their money once they get it, you know, because they think it's going to be coming and coming and coming, you know, and the way to go out there and get the money is to continue touring. You got to save right. You know what I mean? You got to continue to build consistency with your music career. The breakup of 50 Cent and Young Buck came for a really bad reason. It was because Young Buck didn't want to go tour in Asia with G Unit. It's because he wanted to stay on a tour in the South where he was, you know, more known. He was running around. He was around his own people that he had known since he had grown up. That was a little bit easier for Buck. But the better opportunity would have been to do what Yayo was saying, going on tour, making hundreds of thousands of dollars, even though this guy will spend 250,000 of it while he's doing it. You know, he still comes up a little bit in the green. So Yayo's like, I'm at home chilling, and he's chilling with BMF. I done seen Buck take a girl or tell a girl, take the card. Take the card. Hey, man, Young Buck is from a different era. Yeah, you can't hate on a man for saying, "Yo, take the card" to a female. What's up with that? How you gonna hate on a man for telling a female to take a card and go spend what she wants to spend? You know what I mean? I just seen the dude from Barstool Sports, Dave, actually say that his, I think it was ex-wife or something like that, still has access to his card because she was with him when he was down, out, broke. You know, you can't really hate on people for doing different things. You know, Yayo might be a little confused because he missed out on the heyday of G Unit. Say what you want, but Yayo missed out on the heyday of G Unit. When he came home, dropped his album in 2005, things were pretty much over. Like, let's be real. In August of 2005, when Yayo dropped his album, The Thoughts of a Predicate Felon album, against Kanye West's late registration, let's get that right as well. No shade. No shade over there to Vlad and Tony Yayo. It wasn't the late it wasn't the college dropout album. It was the late registration album that sold 830,000 copies and blew Thoughts of a Predicate Felon out of the water. Just like Kanye West would go on to do 2 years later against 50 Cent in 2007. But after 2005, the Thoughts of a Predicate Felon album, things were pretty much over for G Unit. The Get Rich or Die Trying soundtrack came out, 340,000 first week. They call that the unofficial second G Unit album. Me, not so much. Following that, 2006, Mobb Deep's album came out. Rest in peace, The Prodigy. But the Blood Money album came out and only sold like 110,000 copies first week. Underperformed after the big push that they got. Reason behind that is because 50 Cent should have made Out of Control Remix Mobb Deep's first single rather than giving them Put Them in Their Place, rather than giving them Have a Party with Nate Dogg. May he rest in peace as well. Personally, I like that hook. But 50 put the Massacre re-release out with the Mobb Deep feature, which I think drastically hindered Mobb Deep's performance. Then they followed that up with Lloyd Banks' album in 2006, over 2 years later than The Hunger for More, from July of 2004 to October of 2006. It was just a little bit too long. Honestly, it was a little bit too long to wait on a second Lloyd Banks album. I knew there was all the rumors of him losing the Big Withdraw album, leaving it somewhere or something like that. But I don't know. I don't really buy it. I feel like this is the scheduling that 50 Cent was doing for the G Unit projects. I feel like he was scheduling them bi-yearly. You know what I'm saying? Which was a bad move because they should have scheduled it more like a Ludacris or a Ja Rule or, an artist that would release an album every single year once they got motion. After that, Young Buck would get an album release in 2007, and his album sold like $150 if he was lucky first week. And all the momentum that we had from Young Buck was over. All the momentum from Young Buck was over at that point in time. They made the guy wait 3.5 years from August 2004 or September 2004 to what was it, March of 2007 to release his sophomore album. They killed all of Young Buck's momentum. They drowned it out, by making these guys wait so much time to release their second project. Then after that was 2008, the real G Unit sophomore project, Terminate on Sight, TOS. They're giving us an acronym for the second G Unit album that sold over 5 million copies. We don't need an acronym for a G Unit project. We just need a G Unit project. They even kicked Young Buck out because 50 was trying to take that old route. So we're getting a second album from G Unit 5 years after Beg for Mercy. It makes absolutely no sense. But as a fan, as somebody watching, I gave G Unit the benefit of the doubt. You know what I'm saying? Because of the fact that the game left G Unit in 2005, we couldn't get the G Unit album that we were supposed to get. That's why they called the G Unit soundtrack, the Get Rich soundtrack, the sophomore G Unit album. If the game was still with the collective, we would have had the West Coast, the South, and we would have the New York guys, the East Coast sound, all the sounds on that sophomore G Unit album, but we never got it. Instead, we got Young Buck going on tour saying FG Unit when he really shouldn't have. He should have just went on the tour. the tour before the Terminate on Sight album, where 50 said he was completing that album. He should have went on tour and spent some more of this money that Tony Yayo was talking about when he said Buck would go on tour and spend $250,000 on the tour. 50 Cent was making that available for young Buck. So it really makes no sense why he would come back to the States saying FG Unit, F 50 Cent in those videos that started getting released. And then 50 did the same thing he did the Game, kicked him out of G Unit. Yeah, that's what I wanted to come on here and talk about today. The downfall of Young Buck after leaving 50 Cent. Tony Yayo basically breaking down how Young Buck lost his money, what he would spend it on. I remember back in the day hearing Yayo say things like when they would go to different cities, Buck was the type of person to buy a pound of weed and Yayo was buying sevens. You know what I mean? I thought Lloyd Banks was like the big time smoker. You know what I mean? But apparently he's quit now. But I can't imagine Lloyd Banks buying a quarter. But if you're only going to be somewhere for a night, why do you need more than a quarter? You don't really need to stunt like that. But you know what I'm saying? Stunting is a habit. And sometimes these guys just want to show it a little bit more than they've got it. They want to waste it a little bit quicker than they make it. That was the story today, guys, man. Hope y'all check out the new interviews that I'm doing. Hope y'all stay in tune with the news that I'm reporting on. Be sure to hit that like button. Drop a comment if you want to hear me talk about something. Drop a comment if you just want to show some support, man. You know what it is. Mikey T, the movie star. I'm out of here, you guys.